Welcome to Hypertrophy Squats.
Alright, little people. It's Hypertrophy Squat Day, which means we just came off of the training hiatus that comes before and after every meet. So the week before meet, no training. The week after meet, no training. My eyes still aren't recovered from the meet. I popped like 7 or 8 blood vessels in my eyes when I inched forward on my 965 squat. So that was fantastic. We got new training numbers now. So I use a training max of 90% of my meet maxes because you can't physically go out to the gym and hit 100% of your meet maxes every single day of the year. So you have to train to what your body can realistically perceive and realistic static load. So I use 90%. How do you choose your training maxes? This is how you calculate a tip at a restaurant. My squat was 1,005. Move the decimal place 1, and that is 10%. 10% of 1,005 is 100.5. To get 90% of 1,005, you subtract 100.5 from 1,005. That comes out to 905. So my new training max, which I'm gonna base all my percentages off of. So when I do like today, it's somewhere near 50% because it's hypertrophy instead of hyperplasia. I'll go around 50%, so around 450, and that's based on my training max. When you calculate the tip for restaurants when you're going out to eat, you move the decimal point of whatever the charge is and then double it. That's 20%. If they sucked as a waitress, take their pen, because you don't teach them a lesson by giving them a shitty tip. You just minorly inconvenience them by taking a pen, because you still want people to eat at the end of the day. We are in hypertrophy phase, which is usually what the block periodization dictates I do is blocks of hyperplasia. There's 2 types of muscle fibers, and they are both important towards strength. So hypertrophy is the muscle fibers that bodybuilders they focus almost solely on hypertrophy because it's the muscles that make you look big. The bigger your muscles, the better you do on stage. Hyperplasia is they're not as big as hypertrophy muscle groups, or not muscle groups, but muscle fibers. So hyperplasia produces denser, smaller muscle fibers that are stronger. During hypertrophy, we're making the muscle fibers that we currently have bigger. We want some hypertrophy. We want to build up a little bit of muscular armor to protect ourselves from the heavy loads. And then the block that comes immediately after a peak in a meet is hypertrophy, to ensure, basically reduce the amount of fatigue that you have in your muscles, rebuild your central nervous system by a little bit of a lightened load for a little bit. It's almost like a deload, but like you're actually working. So we're in a hypertrophy phase, which is directly after meet. The rep schemes for hypertrophy are a little bit different than rep schemes for hyperplasia, and it's going to be extremely obvious. 1 second. Hi, can I get a large mint hot chocolate with a little bit of cream in it, please?
A large mint hot chocolate with cream in it. Anything else?
That'll be it. Alright, oakley dokley, thank you. Alright, sorry about that. I was hooking up with my pre-workout dealer. Hypertrophy happens in the muscles with an increased rep scheme with reduced sets. So it'll be like 3x8. The tone zone, allegedly, is what they call it apparently, is around 12 reps. But we don't want to be going too far into cardio because we don't want our muscles to go into catabolysis and cannibalize itself. So the way that my hypertrophy is set up is it's got 2 octate weeks, and then we go in between the 2 octate weeks with dodecate weeks, which is 3 by 12. So we got an octate with 2 dodecates, and then another octate week. So we're basically playing just the tip with hypertrophy while maintaining a lot of the strength fibers to avoid catabolysis. So we're going to be building up as much hypertrophic muscle fibers as we can during this hypertrophy phase without losing strength per se. I do a couple of exercises that they're not normal. Scientifically, when you have a rock and you throw it, so you toss it straight up, when you stop touching the rock, are you still applying a force and a pressure to the rock? And the answer is no. And a little virgin back in the day named Isaac Newton figured out the laws of gravity. The most important part of a squat is, well, aside from form, because we're gonna do some air squats. We're gonna do about 100 air squats today, if not more. Some at the beginning, some at the end, to build up muscle memory within our bodies to reduce the amount of thinking that we have to do on meet day. So our body just taps into that muscle memory, because above 90-95%, your body heavily relies on your muscle memory. So when people have their PRs end up looking so disgusting, but a lot of their other attempts look pretty good, they're fine, it's all right. It's because the body is tapping into that muscle memory, and the bad habits that they've built up through a long amount of time are rearing their ugly heads. So we do a lot of air squats to build up that muscle memory. I am in the process of trying to speed up the descent in my squat, because the reduced amount of time under pressure builds every millisecond that you're under pressure with 1,900 whatnot pounds. It's bad. So if you can reduce the amount of time that you're under that pressure, the more likely you are to succeed. So we're going to build up that muscle memory with the air squats. We're going to do some very high rep, kind of low-ish weight squats. And all the squats that we're going to do are going to be called bodybuilder squats, which means that we try to increase the amount of time that we are under a load. So we don't lock out the squats entirely per se, because when you're locked out, the weight is on your muscular, your skeletal system. All the weight's in your bones. And we want our muscles to be feeling and flexing and presenting the stability and everything that needs to go on to get stronger, to build up that hypertrophy. So we're going to be doing bodybuilder squats. Another thing that I meant to talk about when I was talking about the analogy of the rock is the most important part of a squat is the bottom. And people have ragged on me all the time, because when I do high rep bench work, I focus on the bottom half of the bench, and I do what are called, some people call them cheater benches, some people just call them Maguire reps. Basically, I focus on the speed under the speed coming off the chest. So only in hypertrophy do I do what is called pulse squats, where you kind of pulse yourself at the bottom. You try to spring up, and then you also stop yourself. So you got this push and pull. It's almost like a superset of a squat within a squat. So you're strengthening both your ascent and descent of the squat while you're doing these pull squats. And then we're also going to do the generic, like, bodybuilder leg stuff too, because I mean, beaches are open up soon. I gotta look sexy for, well, I'm already married, so I don't really have to look sexy for anyone else. I don't know. Supposedly it all, no, leg extensions and leg curls definitely help with both the squats and deadlifts. So yeah, I will meet you guys in the gym.
Never forget your pre-squat peanut butter puddles. RPS allows you to not wear shoes when you squat or deadlift, but the XPC, which hosts the Arnold, requires some sort of foot covering for squats and deadlifts and bench. I don't know who doesn't wear shoes for bench. I'd tear all my toenails off, but so I'm reincorporating the shoes. I feel like 40 feet taller than usual, probably lack of spinal compression and the very little verticality that came from the shoes. Feels a little weird. My shoulder said, no more squats, please. Gonna listen to the body and work on a little bit of shoulder mobility. Otherwise, bench is gonna be not very nice. Thanks for watching. Comment, like, subscribe. Tell your mom I posted. She's my #1 fan. Ask her about me sometime.